Know the word? Do you know the word?
Yes, sir. I was told to start it off and
Yeah, we'll take it.
oh, so you guys are low.
Yeah, it's here.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's Cobb County Board of Commissioners meeting this August 22nd of 2023. I'm pleased that tonight we have Father Papa Giorgio here with us from Holy Transfiguration Greek Orthodox Church. He will be providing our invocation, which will be followed by the pledge, which will be brought by Engineer David Kleiman of Station 17, C Shift. For those of you willing and able, please rise for our invocation and pledge.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, now and always, and unto the ages of ages. Amen. Heavenly King, comfort the Spirit of truth, present everywhere, filling all things, treasure your blessings, and the giver of life, come and dwell in us, and cleanse us from every stain, and save us, souls, O good one. Holy God, Holy Mighty, Holy Immortal, have mercy on us. We offer thanksgiving to you, O Lord, for all your gifts and blessings. We humbly come to you and ask that you may send down upon us your heavenly Spirit to enlighten our hearts and our minds. Give us of your wisdom and knowledge. Help us to know your will for the benefit of your people whom we serve. Guide us in all our decisions to do what is best for them. Help us to shine with your love and compassion. Grant us your peace and love, patience and prudence. For glorified is your name, of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, now and always and unto the ages of ages. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Father Papa Giorgio, for that invocation, and also Engineer Kleiman for providing the pledge this evening. Our meeting is now officially called to order. We have 4 presentations to start us off with today's meeting. We will begin with the first presentation. It will be brought by Commissioner Burrell. For those of you who are here with respect to K-9 Officer Chase and Metro Ambulance, please join us up front for our first presentation of the evening.
I've lost my cheat sheet. You have one? Pull it up on the computer. Who's this? Which one? Odin. We have a special guest tonight. Odin is with us. Hey. Hey. Okay. Well, tonight we're here kind of a bittersweet presentation. In June, we lost one of our valuable canines in a tragic accident. And these guys that you see, first responders from fire, police, Metro Ambulance, were all heroes and tried to save him. Unfortunately, they didn't, but we have some good news at the end of this presentation to share. So, We just wanted to recognize you all and thank you for what you did for Chase and what you do every day, day in and day out. So we have Engineer David Kleiman, and I'm going to read your certificate, and then the other ones will be similar. So we'll probably just hand out after that. The Cobb County Board of Commissioners would like to recognize your extraordinary efforts in attempting to save the life of K-9 Chase in June. Your dedication to the job and willingness to go beyond the call of duty reflects well on the quality of your character. We thank you for doing all you could to revive Chase. His loss does not change the fact that your daily work of helping those in crisis is a crucial part of our community. This is the 22nd day of August. And then we also have firefighter Tim Barman. And Josh Michaels is here. We will get your certificate to you. It's missing. With my cheat sheet probably, but thank you for your service. And then we have Sergeant Alex Johnson with Cobb County PD. Casey Robinson, Sergeant Robinson. Officer Tyler Selvia. And also, we're here to recognize Metro Atlanta Ambulance. They were involved with the rescue of Chase and all the efforts involved. And we have Charles Jones with us tonight. Chris Davis. Chris Davis with us for Metro Ambulance. And Sydney Woltering and Chelsea Bareilles. I lost my cheat sheet. And these two certificates are for you. And then Chris, I need you up here. Excuse me. After this tragic event in June, Pete Kionis and Devin Seabog, the president and vice president of Metro Atlanta Ambulance, donated $15,500 for a new police dog. So, where's Officer Neal? Officer Neal, would you come up and mark? And all the K-9 unit, come up to accept this. And the chiefs, if y'all want to. So we want to recognize Metro not just for their service and first responders on the scene for Chase, but also for stepping up and donating so that these guys can have another new police dog. Thank you. We good?
Let me get one more with all of you. Here we go. Everybody's good. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Got him. Thank you.
Okay, so Lieutenant Mark Blakeney is the unit director for the K-9s. And do you want to introduce your staff?
Sure.
Your officers?
So I have Sergeant Abernathy. He's going out the back door with K-9 Odin right now. Also, Sergeant Joe Quinlan here. Officer Caleb Neal, Officer William McMullen, and Officer Michael Finks.
Hold on 1 minute. Can you hand me that dog? And And just as a thank you, we have a canine for Metro. You can put it on your desk. Thank you. Okay. We appreciate all you do for us every day. God bless you. And you know I love the canines the most. All right. Thank you. Thanks for all you being here. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Burrow, for that presentation, and for Metro Ambulance and our officers for your work in trying to save Chase. We now have our second presentation and our third presentation. Both of them will be brought by Commissioner Gambrill. For the first one, those who are here with Mount Perrin Christian Boys Tennis Team, please join us up front.
Great, and thank you for being here tonight. It's an honor to celebrate with the Mount Perrin Christian School. The boys tennis team won their first ever Class AA championship in tennis, so congratulations. So with that, I'm going to read our certificate that we will give to each of the team members, and this is a certificate of achievement. The Cobb County Board of Commissioners congratulates the Mount Perrin Christian Schools varsity boys tennis team on winning the Class 2A GHSA State Championship and claiming the title for the first time in program history. We salute you for playing at the top of your game in this challenging sport. You helped the team achieve greatness with your commitment to athletic excellence under the leadership of head coach Jason Beard. This, the 22nd day of August, 2023. So I know all your team members are not here. We have certificates for each of them, but I would like to read off their names. So seniors that were on the varsity team are Giovanni Ferrari. Is he here? Nope. Okay. Also Joseph Ferrari, Ben Moultrie, and then Dylan Santana, and he was also the Cobb County Player of the Year. Angelo Tuma and hi Angelo, and then Reed Van de Veit. Those were our seniors. Our juniors are Baker Watson and Mac Williams. Sophomores were Danielle Choi. And our freshmen were Michael Ayub, Sebastian Bolivar, Miller Callis, Lucas Harper, Carson Kessler, Matthew Murphy, and David Wu. Congratulations. And then we also have certificates for the coaches, which are Jason Beard, Caroline Bradford, and Ryan Smith. Thank you. Would you like to say something about would you like to say a quick word?
Sure. Thank you for recognizing the team. Unfortunately, a lot of our seniors had already headed off to college, and we're really grateful to have Angela with us. But these young men put in a ton of hours, not only in the school, but also on the courts with us. And it was a lot of fun to have the first ever state championship. So super proud of these guys.
Here we go. 3, 2, and gotcha. Thank you.
Good job. Congratulations. We are now at our third presentation this evening. For those of you who are here with the Senior Services Meals on Wheels program, as part of the Battle of the Paddles fundraiser, please join us up front.
Come on, Gibson.
And Jackie.
That's correct, Dr. McMorris. Come on down. Since you were the ringer of their team. I thought the tutus were the secret weapon.
I'll go over here by my competitor.
So as many of you know, we had the Battle of the Paddle Pickleball Challenge back at the beginning of August, and it was to support the seniors in receiving a hearty meals through the Meals on Wheels program that Cobb County Senior Services provides, which is a nutritionally balanced meal for qualifying older adults within the county. Menus are planned and prepared under the supervision of a registered dietitian and are designed to prove 1/3 of an adult's daily nutritional needs. And of course, earlier this month, on August 8th, was National Pickleball Day. And we want to thank everyone who participated in our fundraiser. We raised $2,786, so congratulations. And we want to give out a very special thank you to our Parks Department. We had some last-minute rescheduling due to weather, our Senior Services, and also the Pickleball Foundation. I know I would like to personally thank Joel, who was my partner, and I know Jatan would like to thank Ginny, which was her partner. Woo! There's always one in the crowd. So with this, we'd also like to present a certificate of recognition, and one of these will be for each of Joel and Ginny. The Cobb County Board of Commissioners recognizes you for your contribution to the success of the inaugural Pickleball Challenge fundraiser in support of Cobb County Senior Services Meals on Wheels program. We thank you for your participation, enthusiasm, skills on the court, and for competing with a county elected official, a director, and the manager. Your place in Cobb County history will not be forgotten. This, the 22nd day of August 2023. And I would also like to thank Joel because he was my coach and essentially got me coached up for this in about 3 weeks. Thank you. And so we have the same certificate for Ginny, and would you like to say anything?
So Commissioner Gambrell and I, since I started, she was the liaison for senior services, is where I started, in the department I started in. And we've been competitive ever since. She comes to me with different games, and I think Sandy actually mentioned this one, and we thought, why not? And so we said, let's first learn how to play it. So neither one of us knew how to play pickleball. So you all thought you were dealing with pros, but you are now. And I would like to share that the National Pickleball Association has contacted me, and they want me to tour with them this year. I accept it. This with the tutu. To my coach, I had 2 coaches. Come over here, my other coach. They were rough on me. They didn't understand that I'm older now and my legs don't do what they used to do. But these 2 got me ready. My other coach, you got to come up here. I know, come on, you've taken enough pictures.
I'm not Tara.
Yes. She was everybody's coach, so we thank you so much again, Parks, Senior Services. It was a great, great day. We raised money for a great cause. I did have a slight injury, so I would like to thank my boss who filled in for me. And she doesn't know what this is, but this is for her. It's a tutu. And for my competitor that I know we will come back again with another event. This is for you. And this trophy is for me. I got it for myself. But thank you all.
Do I need to check the county budget on that too?
Personal funds. Thank you.
Joel or Ginny, did you want to say anything Okay. Nope, okay.
Good job.
Aw, is this for everyone?
I would get one each. Donate.
There's only two. Sorry, that was my job.
We're giving out a lot of checks.
All right, here we go. Everybody, 3, 2, got it. Thank you.
It's good to see you. Yeah. Our final presentation will be brought by Commissioner Sheffield and our Association of County Commissioners of Georgia in recognition of our very own State Representative Terry Anulowitz. If you may join us down front, we'd appreciate it.
Terry Anulowitz was elected to the Georgia House of Representatives in a special election in November 2017. She represents House District 42, which includes parts of Smyrna and Marietta, as well as areas in unincorporated Cobb County. Furthermore, she serves as chair of the Cobb County Legislative Delegation. Representative Anulowitz also serves on the House Appropriations, Transportation, Code Revision, and Intergovernmental Coordination Committees. She is also the secretary for the House Creative Arts and Entertainment Committee. In 2021, she was appointed to serve on the state's Capital Arts Standard Commission. Prior to her service in the legislature, Terry spent a decade representing Ward 3 on the Smyrna City Council. She was first elected in 2007 and was elected to her third term in 2015. In 2016, she was appointed as Mayor Pro Tem for the city. You've been pretty busy, Terry.
That's good.
Representative Anulowitz, in her capacity as a member of the House Transportation Committee and House Governmental Affairs Committee, continuously looks out for local governments. As a former city official, she recognizes the benefits as well as unintended consequences legislation can have on local governments. ACCG appreciates Representative Anulowitz's efforts in raising concerns over House Bill 189, legislation that increases truck weight limits and how it would negatively impact local roads and bridges. Additionally, Representative Anulowitz spoke against legislation preempting local governments and legislation imposing harsh penalties against local governments for speed detection camera violations. Good catch. We, the Cobb County Board of Commissioners, honor Terry Anulowitz on this 22nd day of August 2023.
I'll make some brief remarks because the commissioner laid out all of the things that we're here for to congratulate Representative Anulowitz on. But I'll just mention our organization, ACCG. is happy to present its Legislative Service Award to members of the Georgia General Assembly who have demonstrated exemplary leadership and support on issues supporting county governments and sound public policy. And I would also like to mention that Representative Anulowicz is the chair of the Cobb County Legislative Delegation. So she is representing Cobb County well under the Gold Dome. So for all the reasons that the commissioner mentioned, plus that we want to congratulate you and award you with the 2023 ACCG Legislative Service Award.
All right, here we go. Three. One more, hang on.
For those of you here in our audience, you may remember that the Board of Commissioners passed a resolution to oppose this legislation, and Representative Anulowitz's work, it helped Cobb County in preserving our position, but I heard about your fierce advocacy from other county leaders, and you've helped to protect interests across the entire metro region. So we thank you and appreciate your advocacy on behalf of all of us in Cobb County. With that, Commissioners, our presentations are now concluded for this evening. We will go to public comment. And Bill, you can let us know how many speakers we have this evening.
We have 12, Chairwoman.
Okay.
As the board provides the podium for public comment, it's appropriate to review the meeting rules. If you would, please state your name and if you're speaking on behalf of an organization. All comments should be addressed through the chair. Public comment is not a dialogue with the board, but an opportunity for speakers to provide their comments to the board. We suggest that all comments be impertinent, derogatory, should not be impertinent, derogatory, offensive, or slanderous. To that end, the board encourages, regardless of the topic, for the audience to be respectful and courteous to the speakers. Everyone attending this meeting should give others the right to both listen and to be heard by treating each other with civility. Statements made during the public comments portion do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the board or the administration of Cobb County government. And there is a 5-minute timer on the podium for you to keep track of your time. With that being said, the first speaker is Jim Jess.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm Jim Jess. I'm from Marietta. I'm president or chairman of Franklin Roundtable, a 501c4 grassroots organization here in Cobb County. I wanted to state very clearly that Franklin Roundtable is and will oppose the transit tax that you all are considering on putting in the ballot on November 2024. Our board voted unanimously to oppose the tax. We really see this tax as nothing more than a boondoggle. We need serious traffic solutions, and we don't need to spend more money on consultants. It seems like every time we do a project in this county, we spend another $500,000 on a bunch of consultants. Our observation is that the buses that are on the roads here in Cobb County are mostly empty. So why do we need a transit tax? We want solutions that will move traffic and move people. A mass transit is really an idea best left in the last century. if we want to move people and if we want to increase traffic flow, we need to look at some simple solutions, such as contract with Uber or Lyft to move people from point A to point B. And, we wouldn't need any new buses, wouldn't need any new infrastructure for that. Or if we need more bus routes, instead of buying buses that many times cost $500,000 or more, why not buy some $50,000 vans? They can get through traffic a lot quicker and cause less congestion. Or build flyover lanes, or access roads, or even traffic circles to improve traffic flow. These are solutions that would work and would make a lot of sense. Solutions that we are talking about are simple, common sense solutions. But know this, Franklin Roundtable will oppose any attempt to place a transit tax on the ballot, and if it's placed on the ballot, our organization will be working with a coalition of like-minded citizens to defeat this wasteful and unnecessary tax. Thank you for your time.
The next speaker is Michael Garza.
My name is Michael Garza. I live in Commission District 3. I am a business owner, a father of a first grader, and as you can see, an avid water drinker. First, I want to thank the commissioners for being the adults in the room in our county. You all may have your differences from time to time, and there are improvements to be made in Cobb, but the leadership has done a good job of keeping the outside influences away from the work you all do. The same cannot be said of the Cobb County School Board. We all saw what happened last week when the board fired a teacher for teaching a lesson on acceptance to her students. It wasn't a controversial lesson. It is a lesson that is taught every day in our classrooms here in Cobb and around the country. But our board caved to the outside influencers like Frontline Policy and Moms for Liberty rather than listening to parents of students in the district. I remember when Randy Scammahorn said in the press that Commissioner Cupid should come to the school board for advice. I would counter that the board should instead be coming to the commission. What is happening there is connected to what happens here when people speak against DEI. What they don't realize is that they have already lost this battle, and let me explain why. In the corporate world, DEI is not a controversial topic. Companies started decades ago introducing DEI to their corporate culture. And now every single company in the Fortune 100 has DEI embedded. Not 90%, not 95%, every single one of them. This includes companies like Amazon, Target, Walmart, Apple, Dell, AT&T, GM, Deere, and Home Depot right here in Georgia. What has been the result? More Fortune 100 companies than ever have boards in which half or more of the board is made up of women or underrepresented racial or ethnic groups. There was just one such board back in 2004. In 2022, that increased to 33 of 100 boards. When our state legislators and school boards take measures to remove DEI from our schools, they are only doing a disservice to our children. Not only are they marginalizing kids, but they are not preparing them for the future when they will work side by side and be managed by people who look different from them. What we are seeing in Cobb is a microcosm of what we are seeing across the country. Our school board is stuck in the past, just like the GOP at large. There are no new ideas, no innovation, just a last-ditch effort to move our county back to the 1950s. These people have said they don't want us to be Detroit. I counter that I don't want us to be like Florida. By contrast, in this commission, we see the future. We see the potential in our great, diverse county. We see what it means when we have leaders who reflect the citizens you represent. This is why we love Cobb, and we want our first grader to grow up in this county. I can see a future that is rapidly approaching, a future with a new school board ushered in by a county becoming more and more progressive, a future where we are over the book bans, over the whitewashing of history, over the firing of our amazing educators. A future where every student in our schools is valued. A future when every member of our society is valued. A future when my daughter is seen as a complete human being and doesn't have her rights restricted just because she has a uterus. A future where parents are angry that their kids are subjected to active shooter drills in school rather than being outraged that their kids are learning kindness. That's the future I want for my daughter and for all of our children, and that is the future we will give them. Thank you.
The next speaker is Christine Rosman.
Hello, I'm Christine Rosman, and I'm representing those with common sense and critical thinking. So anyway, I wasn't even going to talk about DEI, but since Michael brought it up, the diversity, equity, and inclusion is kind of interesting because a lot of times it ends up being dividing, excluding, and inciting. And what I wanted to talk about was ESG, which is the environmental social governance. And those of you that don't know, that's actually a rating system that basically shows whether you're in compliance with DEI and all the World Economic Forum kind of woke agenda. And there was an article that I read, and I thought it was very interesting. I'd like to share. It was called Trends in the Implementation of ESG Policies in State and Local Governments. And this was by John Pellicero, Senior Scholar, Government Ethics with Santa Clara University. Anyway, environmental, social, and governance policies. And by the way, when I read this, then it made sense of what direction Cobb County, not all of you, but Cobb County is going. Environmental, social governance, and governance policies are being adopted by state and local governments at a steady pace. Leaders of states, counties, cities, and school districts are recognizing the ethical importance of such policies. And the residents and taxpayers of these entities are calling on their governments to pay attention to ESG. I'm not sure about that. Government's adoption and implementation of ESG is becoming an important ethical value in jurisdictions across the country. There are three primary ways in which governments may promote ESG in their jurisdictions: adopting ESG goals within government operations and services; 2, implementing ESG policies and regulations; and 3, incorporating ESG factors into decisions of government assets and liabilities. In each area, governments seek to promote the public interest in policy and decisions. So it kind of goes on, and there state and ESG policies establishing and enforcing standards that will serve the public interest is an important ethical role of state governments. The national government establishes many social and environmental policy standards to which state and local governments must comply and may emulate. However, in recent years, it is state governments that are being more active in regulating practices that promote the goals of ESG in their states. I mean, this is like totally exactly what's happening here. And although there is no national database on state ESG policies, trends are emerging. California is often cited as a leader in ESG factors into California public employees and teachers' retirement systems. And there was, let's see, the state governments are expected to continue the trend on focusing on ESG factors in investments of public funds and in government operations from an ethical standard, continuing to adopt ESG policies in the states would benefit the common good. Boston's policy on investment calls for ESG factors to be used whenever possible with the city's cash funds. Environmental factors include green buildings, smart growth, climate change, clean technology, pollution and toxins, toxics, sustainable natural resources. Social factors may include human rights, avoidance of tobacco and harmful products, community development, diversity, workplace safety. It kind of goes on, and then it says, we can expect that the evolving ESG landscape in local governments will continue to be reported on by organizations such as the National League of Cities, U.S. Conferences of Mayors, and the CDP Global as these governments pursue ESG as an ethical pathway to justice, fairness, and common good. If that doesn't encapsulate everything that a lot of you
Ms.
are
Rossman, I'm sorry, your time's
pushing for,
up.
I don't know what does. Thank you.
The next speaker is John McLean.
Good evening, it's John McLean. I'm from District 1 out in West Cobb. You've just finished increasing property tax in Cobb County, and now you're asking us to consider a 1 or 2% SPLOST sales tax for mass transit. At the same time, many in this county are struggling to pay groceries. After watching the work session, I checked some facts that were offered as facts. Number one, ridership is approximately 1.5 million per year, but that number is misleading. One rider can take several bus trips a day. Instead of counting individual riders of buses, you count total fares. Actual riders total probably about half of what you estimate, or less than $750,000 per year. You do not know because you don't count riders, you count fares. The transit system only benefits a small number of citizens. Number two, the cost to operate and maintain our current transportation system is approximately $25 million per year that comes out of the general fund or tax dollars. But the bus fares collected are about $1 million per year. So the current transportation system, which very few use, operates at a $24 million per year deficit and is subsidized by the taxpayers. The proposed SPLOST project's cost estimates revealed that the work session did a fair job covering the $10.5 billion capital costs. But there were no estimates given as to how much maintenance and operational costs are going to be. It was stated that those costs will be covered in the SPLOST. My question to you is, how do you know that? You have no estimates. You're going to be maintaining many more vehicles. You have additional bus lanes to manage and maintain. How many more personnel you need to drive and then maintain these vehicles? How much fuel will they burn? How much are the fares going to be? Or are you hoping for a break-even system where fares pay the cost? Or are you asking the citizens of Cobb County to once again subsidize this? It was suggested in the work session that you possibly reserve some funds for a third-party outreach with the intention of educating the public. I hope your intention is not to initiate a marketing campaign to influence the future vote on this SPLOST. Using my tax dollars to promote something on a future ballot would be seriously unethical, if not illegal. So if passed, what happens after the SPLOST ends in 30 years? I'll be gone. But you must maintain, operate, and replace the worn-out vehicles and the dedicated bus lanes. Are you going to pass another permanent tax at that point? Are you going to increase property taxes to pay for a system that very few use that will not pay for itself? 30 years is a long time, but I thought I heard you say, quote, "We can't continue to kick this can down the road," end quote. Isn't that exactly what you are doing here? Asking future boards to address something that you started? 6, this existing 2022 SPLOST gives us a sample of what to expect from SPLOST in Cobb County. The 2022 SPLOST we're in today provides $750 million for parks, traditional roads, bridges, intersections, and sidewalks. However, in District 1, you spend less than $18 million offered to District 1 and $18 million on projects, or less than 2.4% of that $750 million. $8 million of that $18 million went to non-traditional transportation-related projects. District 1, which encompasses quarter of the county, gets $18 million of your $750 million total, and only $10 million goes to traditional roads and bridges that we really need. Yet our growth is exploding. Looks like District 1 is being ignored and is subsidizing the rest of the county. If this trend continues with your new SPLOST, District 1 will subsidize the rest of the county with mass transit that few will use. I see it, I'm about out of time, so thank you.
The next speaker is Pam Reardon.
Good evening. I'm Pamela Reardon. I've been living in Cobb since 99. Okay, so I watched most of the session this afternoon. I think you said, or Drew's not here, right? He said that that this bill 930 is going to be used to authorize a 30-year tax. Now, Drew totally misled the board today. I just want everyone here to know. He was trying to say that, yeah, we sort of have to kind of commit to 30 years and, yeah, go up to 1 penny extra on our sales tax for all that time. But then he was trying to say, but, you know, we could probably do a 10-year within there, and that would be like an option. Just all a play on words, folks. No, it's a commitment for 30 years, 1 penny sales tax extra. The one thing that nobody is saying is, according to Bill 930, which is 78 pages, by the way, which was passed in 2018, Cobb will be a district. It'll be part of MARTA. You know what MARTA is, okay? They will take the money, they will use it equitably, to push back a phrase that you use all the time, between Atlanta and Cobb. They will decide which projects that you are going to be able to do, and you will ask them for that. Believe me, that's the truth. I was there in 2018. I was there in this board asking the questions when this was brought up after that. There is a reason, Mr. Drew, why no county has done this since the bill was passed in 2018. What do you think the reason is? They don't want to be controlled by Atlanta and MARTA. They want to do their own projects. So we need to buckle down. If there's problems in this county on transportation, we need to figure out what those are, and we can fund those through the SPLOST, the transportation, which we have already. Now, I just know what Democrats do, because they like to double down on wasting money. And we're wasting money on the buses right now, because I even went to a TAD meeting, and they even admitted that the ridership is still pre-COVID. If it's not back now after 3 years, it ain't coming back. So there's talk about changing the routes. Maybe the routes have to be changed. Yes, I'm all for that, trying to reach out to areas that need it. But in the session this afternoon, I almost fell over. The chair said, well, you know, we have to get it in the areas where there are people now that walk 1 or 2 miles to go to the hospital. Really? I don't think anyone walks 1 or 2 miles to go to a hospital. They can get a ride, or they can use Flex. We have that ability in Cobb County. We do have a system for that, y'all. But guess what? They don't use it because nobody will use it. There's no demand for it, but we have that. So we don't want to waste money. We don't want to spend more money. 53 more miles of what's called a high-capacity transit. Okay, where did that come from? We're always making up new terms. And also I agree, you are using our taxpayers' fund to market against what we want. We do not want this. So you're using our money to sell a 1% sales tax increase. Now I want to flip over to why is the different topic. Why is Courtney Knight the chair of the formerly Attainable Housing Task Force, now rebranded Advance Cobb? She is the treasurer for the city of Atlanta. And why does Ms. Gambrill not get an appointee to this committee? And is this committee, are there funds in the budget? I don't know. I haven't seen any, haven't heard any. And I just want to know the answers to that question. The streetcar.
Ms. Reardon.
Oh, come on. I wanted to get to the streetcar.
No, I'm sorry, your time's up. The next speaker is Denny Wilson.
Good evening, Denny Wilson, District 4. I had written out a speech, but I think I'm just going to speak from the heart, because sometimes I think those are the best speeches, when you give it from the heart. I'm not going to address the school board because this is not a school board meeting. This is a Board of Commissioners meeting. But what I will say is I don't understand why we spend so much time trying to teach our kids things that should not be taught in the schools, that should be left up to the parents. And we're not even teaching them, reading, writing, and arithmetic. And that's what's most important, to the children. Not going to spend any time on DEI, because I know I have a difference of opinion on what some people feel with DEI, because how equity got included in the middle, I don't know. It was only diversity and inclusion. But I think with all the other things that they're trying to include, that's where the equity came in there. But I've come to these meetings for a great many of years, and I've heard you guys sit and say that no other board has experienced the type of outrage and anger that you guys have, and that's not true. When Tim Lee brought the Braves Stadium to Cobb, remember what happened to him. When Mike Boyce raised the millage rate, remember what happened to him. I don't think these people care about the color of your skin. I really don't think they do. The only color they know about is green, and that's the color of their money. I mean, when people see money going out of their pockets and they see that they're paying more for everything, and we are. We're paying more for gas at the pump. We're paying more for food at the store. I mean, it's just one thing after another to where we're paying. I mean, I've had to readjust my budget, to accommodate being on a fixed income. So I don't think that it has anything to do with the color of your skin. I think it has to do with how you govern and how you dictate. I mean, because we're not under a governmental system like we should be. I think we're more under a dictatorship in Cobb County, because it's like you guys say, the only thing you don't do is point the finger. But you say, you do as I say, when it's our money. I mean, when it's our money that's being paid in the property taxes, it's our money that's being paid in the sales taxes. And I think if you would turn that table onto yourself and look to see if it was you, I think you would probably feel the same way that some of these people that come in here, the way that they feel. And I agree, some of them have been downright rude. They have. But there have been people who have come in here nice and who have asked you not to raise taxes, who have asked you to look at how they live. And again, I go back to the last meeting where, we got undressed for coming in here and just saying, don't raise the taxes. That's not how you talk to people. I mean, you're supposed to be leaders, we put it in your hand. Now I didn't vote for you, and I'm not gonna say that I did, because I did not. But when we put leadership in your hand to lead this county, then that's what we expect you to do. Look at what just happened in the city of South Fulton when they tried to put that big battery plant over in those people's neighborhood. Those people showed up in massive numbers. And the council had to vote that battery plant down. I mean, because it's a poisonous establishment that was being put right slap dab in the middle of a black community. And last but not least, I need you guys to stop saying that South Cobb is always the issue, because it's not. Everything that you guys try to put through this board, you use South Cobb as your go-to. And I know why you do that. I honestly do know why you do it. But I wish that you would stop. And I've asked you for years, to stop doing that. So, don't think that people are coming in here and talking to you guys because, number one, you're black. And this is from one black woman to 3 black women. Trust me, it has nothing to do with the color of your skin. Because again, the only thing these people know is the color green. Thank you.
Chairwoman, that concludes the first portion of our public comment.
Thank you to all of you who come out to public comment. It's a significant part of our meeting, and sir, this is not a time where we take questions or messages from the audience. If there's anybody else who signed up for public comment who did not get an opportunity to speak, that opportunity will follow the majority of our agenda. The way our meetings are set up, there are 6 speaking slots at the top of the meeting for 5 minutes, and there are 6 speaking slots towards the end of our meeting for 5 minutes. With that, we will go to our consent agenda. Our consent agenda has items which scrolled on the screen prior to our meeting, and they will scroll on the screen at the end of our meeting. Commissioners, there have been some revisions to the consent agenda. The first is a non-agenda item which needs to be added, which includes the review of the summary of the appeal hearing conducted by the License Review Board on August 17th, 2023, regarding the Kroger Company doing business as Kroger number 730. To add that to the consent agenda as a non-agenda item, we will need to have a 4/5 vote. And because this is in District 2, I'll let you lead the motion, Commissioner Richardson.
Thank you. So moved.
Second for discussion.
Okay.
And then if the clerk could also record my statement as found on page 137 of the current agenda. Thank you.
Okay, are there any questions or other statements to be made prior to our vote? We'll call the question. The motion passes 5-0, Commissioners. With that, Commissioners, we still have had a revision to a couple of agenda items that should have been shared with you with respect to number 14 and with respect to number 20. I have the sheet for number 14 with me, and that is to revise the amount associated with the ARC's reimbursement, which is not to exceed $1,036,880.16, and that's been revised from $986,880.26. Thank you. Okay. And we also have a second revision, and it's quite minor. We had a contract that was included in our booklet with respect to Securitas Technology Corporation to help maintain our judicial circuit security electronic system. There was some verbiage added that the necessary documents will be approved by the county attorney's office. With that, Commissioners, I move that we approve the consent agenda as it has been revised.
Second.
Are there any questions or matters of discussion before we approve the consent agenda? With that, I call the question. The motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Commissioners. With that, we are at our regular tab, and it will begin with our Department of Transportation.
Good evening, Chairwoman, Commissioners, County Manager. The department has 6 items for your consideration tonight. Our first item is to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve a contract with Glosson Enterprises, LLC in an amount not to exceed $786,559.65 for Lost Mountain Road Sidewalk, project number X2708. Authorize the corresponding budget transactions and further authorize the chairwoman to execute the necessary documents.
Commissioner Gambrell.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? We'll call the question. The motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Our next item is to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve a contract with Glosson Enterprises, LLC in an amount not to exceed $1,464,235.44 for Sewell Mill Road Sidewalk, project number X2731. Authorize the corresponding budget transactions and further authorize the chairwoman to execute the necessary documents.
Commissioner Richardson.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Call the question. The motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Our next item is to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve a contract with Traffic Calming USA, LLC in an amount not to exceed $497,849 for resurfacing 2023 countywide high-friction surface treatment. Project number X2922. Authorize a corresponding budget transaction and further authorize the chairwoman to execute the necessary documents.
Commissioner Gambrell.
So moved. Second.
Is there any discussion? We'll call the question. The motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Our next item is to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve the First Amendment to the Georgia Transportation and Infrastructure Bank Agreement with the State Road and Tollway Authority for Old 41 Highway Realignment, project number X2609, and authorize the chairwoman to execute the necessary documents.
Commissioner Burrow, I'll start with you.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Call the question. The motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Our next item is to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve a consultant services agreement with Gresham Smith in an amount not to exceed $661,956.78 for engineering design of Big Shaney Road widening, Cobb County Project B2431. Authorize the corresponding budget transaction and further authorize the chairwoman to execute the necessary documents.
Commissioner Burrow.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Call the question. The motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. And our final item tonight is to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve the 3-year 2023 transit operations and maintenance contract with Transdev Services Incorporated to include 2 one-year renewal options in an amount not to exceed $29,800,000 for year 1 to provide complete operations, maintenance, and administrative support services for Cobb Link, Cobb County Project 002205. Authorize the corresponding budget transactions and further authorize the chairwoman to execute the necessary documents.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Let's stop for a moment. Why don't we go ahead and just let the audience finish their discussion first? Okay, is there any discussion from the Board of Commissioners? We'll call them. Yes, Commissioner Gambrell.
Drew, I didn't get to chat with you about this before, but I got an email today. Was TransDeb Services a previous contractor for Cobb County to run our services before we went to First Trans?
They were years ago. That was before my time, but TransDev was a previous contractor and has worked in the region.
Okay, so, and I understand there were some
Excuse me,
issues.
Commissioner Gambrell. For those in the audience, please let the board deliberate on this matter without your participation. Thank you. Go ahead, Commissioner Gambrell.
So within the contract, have we addressed some of those? I'm not sure what those issues were. Like I said, I just kind of got a general statement about that. But are we going to ensure that those issues don't arise again with this contract?
I'm sorry.
Again, it was just
previous time with Transit.
yes.
So I'll share. We went through a lengthy and competitive procurement process where we looked at a number of criteria, including customer service, on-time performance, staffing, and items like that. And through the negotiations, we had a lot of conversations about our expectations, about what transit service looks like within Cobb County of being on time, courteous, and responsive to the public and our riders. And we do feel that TransDev is best situated to provide that service. And we continue to include oversight. The board approved just in the last fiscal year, for this current fiscal year, a customer service manager that continues to look over those operations and respond to any issues that do come up to make sure, again, that we're effective, efficient, and responsive to the customers.
Okay. Commissioner Burrow.
Are you through, Ms. Gamble? Drew, so did First Trans and TransDev both submit separate bids,
They did.
but now one bought the other out? So who's,
We're aware that TransDev has acquired First Transit. We had those conversations with legal and procurement during the process to understand what that looks like for this. They were submitting as separate and independent contractors through that process, so we evaluated them independently and negotiated ultimately with the most responsive bidder, which was TransDev. So we looked at them independently. We understand that there will be through the life some consideration on their corporate side, but our expectations are outlined very clearly within the contract.
okay, so is the scope of service that they're providing now, that First Trans is providing now, reflected in this new contract for 3 years, or are any changes being made, any revisions to the routes or any of it changing?
Of course. So the transit provider is asked to operate the county's transit system. So we provide what those routes are, the expectations in terms of timing and the like. We've had some conversations in terms of liquidated damages and the like in terms of any failure to perform. So there are some changes in contractual language, but in terms of service to be provided, this is the same system that is proposed in this contract as is currently operating under First Transit. Any changes to the transit system would be at the request and approval of the Board of Commissioners.
Okay, and then future in Mobility SPLOST, that would be a different service as far as if it's the BRT method, but this would roll up into that 1 penny and not be in the general fund, or would this be separate?
Sure. To walk through some scenarios, should the referendum pass, what we presented this afternoon includes those operations and maintenance costs to be then covered completely and entirely under that transit referendum. So that really becomes the funding mechanism. The contract still stands. What we would then look for is, again, primarily any transit operator is primarily, first and foremost, a staffing agency to provide those drivers, operators, customer service agents, and dispatchers to operate and maintain, mechanics to maintain this system. And any system takes time to, any enhancements to, say, BRT take time to design, construct. And so over this 3-year lifespan. Should the transit referendum come before the voters and pass in November of next year, collections would not begin until 25, and it would take some time beyond that before any high-capacity connections could be built. So largely, day one would look very similar to where it is now. The funding, again, could then be incorporated within that referendum, and then any service enhancements we would then look at once a critical mass of operations have changed and it needs to go back out to procurement, then it would go back out onto the street for an open procurement.
So this is just for the operation, but that we're already doing.
That's correct.
But it is an increase over what we're currently paying with the company, the existing contract now, for
That's
the
correct.
same service.
That's correct, and it's primarily due to the cost to maintain the aging fleet. The personnel costs have increased over that same time period, as well as just inflationary pressures on the actual equipment needed to be able to purchase and operate and maintain the system.
Okay, so any revisions would come from DOT
That's correct.
as far as routes and,
That's correct.
okay.
Okay, are there any other questions or comments regarding this agenda item? Okay, and just for clarification for those who are here, this is a contract for our operation of our current bus system, and we are renewing a contract that we have renewed in years past to maintain its current operation. And those that do operate our bus system also maintain our bus system as well. So with that, Commissioners, I'll go ahead and call the question. The vote carries 3-2 with Commissioners Burrow and Gambrill in opposition. Thank you, Drew.
Thank you.
We are now at our second public comment round.
Thank you, Chairwoman. The first speaker is Mindy Seeger.
Good evening. Good evening, Chairwoman, Board of Commissioners. Thank you for giving me a couple seconds there to collect my notes that I was shuffling. I come to you tonight with a bit of a community concern that we've got an increase of anti-Semitic propaganda and activity recently in our county, as recently reported and covered by the MDJ with an interview that they did with District Attorney Flynn Brody on the issue. As we know, in the East Cobb area, there was a demonstration recently of neo-Nazis in our community that was then answered by a call for the community to have a spiritual event at East Cobb UMC Church, which I attended to combat that. And one of the things that D.A. Brody mentioned in his recent article in the MDJ, the interview, is something that he wanted everyone to consider. And it's a guidebook that's put out by the SBLC Community Guide that lays out what we could do as a community. So what I wanted to do tonight was to encourage everyone in the community, particularly those who are engaged, both as our elected officials and those who are engaged in the community in various groups that may or may not be here tonight or may be listening. And there are 10 steps that they call out in this guide that I want to encourage everyone to consider and reflect on. The first one is to act, to do something. Each of us can do something. 2 is to join forces, gather ideas from everyone and get everyone involved. 3 is to support the victims, show support and let the victims know you care. And I'll add a piece there, ask them what they need. Don't just assume. Speak up. This is important. Speak up in ways that draw attention away from hate and towards unity. And that's the call I want to make to us tonight. Educate yourself. Understand the difference between a hate crime and a bias incident. That's something we saw in this demonstration, that people were not understanding why they weren't being arrested and what was the limit of their free speech to be there versus what constituted a threat to the synagogue and the surrounding community. 6, create an alternative. Hold a unity rally. Hold things that are in the positive and the alternative to what they're doing. Pressure leaders. This one's on you guys. Elected officials and other community leaders can be important allies. Let's use them. Let's work together. Stay engaged. Expand your comfort zone by reaching out to people outside your own groups. And that one I think can't be said enough. I think we often, in a polarizing time, talk to people that are like-minded, that are in our silos, and we need to be speaking to people that think differently and seek unity with them. Teach acceptance. Reach out to young people who may be susceptible to hate group propaganda and prejudice. The messaging has to be multi-generational. We have to have our older folks teaching our younger folks to discern truth, and we need our younger folks to be able to tell us things like what's a spoof, and is it real, and is it fake, and what's been, photoshopped and things of the nature. Number 10 is to dig deeper. Look inside yourself for biases and stereotypes. This is something I think we can all do in some part. I also want to offer that in addition to the SBLC guidebook that they've put out, the ADL, which was founded right here in Marietta, for those of you who don't know, is the Anti-Defamation League, has a robust program called No Place for Hate that used to be part of our schools. My question here tonight is, could that program be part of Cobb County programming? Is that something that we can do from a county perspective? Can this board consider a No Place for Hate pledge or potential programming around that? I encourage those most engaged to show leadership in your networks, in your neighborhoods, because our community deserves it. And I know that there is no place for hate in Cobb County, but it'll take all of us to draw it out.
Kevin Redmond.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kevin Redmond. I am on the community cabinet for Commissioner Jerica Richardson, but as they say, these tweets are my own. As I've had the opportunity to engage with the community across this district and across Cobb, I have seen with my own eyes how diverse it is and how this diversity is what represents our strength as a community. I've mentioned up here before that I believe that race and gender are core to this topic, but it goes much further with economic status, ethnicity, religion, sexual orientation, and so many other factors. The responsibility we have to each other is to work to understand what makes us all different and where we can find commonality. Maybe it's commonality is a natural curiosity about the world around us. Maybe it's community service. Maybe it's sports or the arts or the love of food. But the path to this understanding is by learning how we are also very different. My brothers and I all grew up under the same roof, had the same parents, yet they would say openly and happily admit this, that we were all pretty different. The paths we took by choice and the path that happenstance took us all on led us to different paths to become adults with different perspectives on life. The path to this learning, though, can be difficult. I grew up with my brothers, and we are all still close, and so we understand each other's paths. But for the many thousands of people that we interact with, there's a good chance we have no idea on why they ended up on the path that they are on. Understanding the differences around us help us build empathy. And when someone is feeling like their difference is a liability in a crowd of others, it is this empathy that can make them feel like they do belong, like it is okay for them to be who they are. I had a friend who was born on the same year as I was, in his life about a week ago. And his color was purple. He was someone who didn't quite fit the mold of what some would think a Southern male should be. And now I wonder, as many probably are now, what could we have done different to make his life better? What could have changed the outcome? The level of learning, of empathy, and belonging at an early age makes a lifelong impact. It really builds a foundation on who we become. And of course, it's never too late to learn. It's never too late to try to make an impact that will make someone feel like they are part of the community that sees them. There is light in this community. I've seen it. And I hope that as we grow, as we progress, we find a way to build each other up. Thank you.
Donald Barth. Donald Barth. Donald Barth.
Donald Barth, Marietta. Good evening, ladies. I guess the first thing I want to touch on is a sore subject in the room. And we're still on the subject of my voting rights. If we could get Fonnie Willis up here to design the playbook to look into the voter part where you interfered with my voting rights this year. I was due to vote for my commissioner in this year in 3, but the state took that and said, no, you're in 2. So now I'm in 2. The county didn't do anything but take Joanne, put her over in East Cobb, vote her in, and then bring her back to me, which I'm perfectly happy any damn one of you could be my damn commissioner. I wouldn't care. You know better than that. You know, I just don't, you're all okay, but you interfered with the election. So I didn't get a right to vote this year. Why are you not being indicted by Flynn Brody? At least an indictment doesn't mean you're guilty of anything, but we look into the interference of an election. I won't get to vote again for 4 more years. That means you took out my right to vote in 2 years, which if you had been good leaders, you would have said, okay, we'll let this commissioner finish out her term as it should have been. But her term would have been there. I would have been in 2. If she wasn't there, I would have come in and said, hey, Reggie Copeland, you want to run? He said, yeah. But we're going on to something else. Speaking of that, attainable housing. Do you remember attainable housing? Do you remember all those emails? Attainable housing versus affordable housing. Ooh, we're doing that shuffle. We're right back over there now. Now we're going to call it affordable housing. Affordable housing is for everybody. Attainable housing is not necessarily affordable housing. Do you not see that you came full circle? You went to the left and to the left. And you can't keep doing that. People are looking. You were good when you came up last month, and you showed us the error of our ways if we took away 2 of the points off of the tax thing. Oh, Folkman was pretty quick to jump up with a $30 million number. I would have hoped it would have taken him a little longer to come up with that. But he was quick. Anyway, the problem is attainable housing and affordable housing. You started that. I was on those email threads. I didn't want to be, but, you know, I listened, I looked. I'm like, affordable housing is for everybody. All people should be able to afford the house. Not that I want you to pay for it. I just want to help point us all in the right direction so everybody has a chance to enjoy the Cobb County community. It's not asking for too much. And don't get me started on your new transit tax. I grew up in Atlanta. I rode the bus. It was 10 cents when I was a kid. I rode a trolley down Peachtree. That old wire click, 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 click. I watched the sparks fly. I'm that damn old. But I don't want to see us coming up and paying more and more and more for a system that is not working right now. Who's in charge of that system? Somebody came up and said, I want to put the bus station over there at 41 in Roswell Street. And I'm thinking, now that's dumb. That is dumb. I stood right there in the Marietta Daily Journal. That's dumb. And there's a reason for that. There's already a traffic problem in that area. So I'm thinking, who thought that up? Really? Somebody with an education came up with that? Book smart and out in the field smart, that's 2 different smarts. Common sense is what we need. And right now, raising the tax again, that's not common sense. So let's take some time and think about what you're doing. Thank you.
The next speaker is Christy Miner.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Christy Miner, and I'm a Cobb resident. I'm here this evening with a very basic request. Please post the contact information for the Board of Public Health on the Cobb County and the Cobb and Public Health websites. I've attended 2 Cobb Public Health meetings. While I'm granted access to meetings to observe as a citizen, there is no way to bring public concerns to the board. Ms. Lisa Crossman, Deputy Director of Cobb Public Health, has always been very responsive, and I'm grateful to her for her leadership. However, the public does need access to the board. Under Title 31, Chapter 3, Section 5 of the Georgia State Code, it reads, "The board is tasked, quote, to determine the health needs and resources of its jurisdiction by research and by collection, analysis, and evaluation of all data pertaining to the health of the community." Chief Justice Gorsuch, in his Statement 589 U.S. 2023, issued in May 18th of this year, he writes, in part concerning the response to the COVID crisis, quote, "The concentration of power in the hands of so few may be efficient and sometimes popular, but it does not tend toward sound government. However wise one person or his advisors may be, that it is no substitute for the wisdom of the whole of the American people that can be tapped in the legislative process. Decisions produced by those who indulge no criticism are rarely as good as those produced after robust and uncensored debate. Decisions unannounced on the fly are rarely as wise as those that come after careful deliberation. Decisions made by a few often yield unintended consequences that may be avoided when more are consulted. Autocracies have always suffered these defects," close quote. My concern moving forward is that we learn from our previous response. We know there were unintended consequences as a result of decisions made during the state of emergency powers, which we were under by the federal government from March of 2020 to May of 2023. Not only that, we were under a state of emergency issued by our county commissioner chair at the advisement of one person, the Director of Public Health, who is appointed and overseen by the Board of Public Health. That is the type of concentration of power that Justice Gorsuch is speaking about. He concludes his statement with the following, quote, "But if emergency decrees promise to solve some problems, they threaten to generate others. And rule by indefinite emergency edict risks leaving us all with a shell of a democracy and civil liberties just as hollow." Close quote. I know that you, as elected officials who vow an oath to the United States and Georgia constitutions, are just as concerned about protecting the citizens of Cobb from unchecked government as I am. I ask you to please start by at least taking this baby step of publicly posting the contact information for the members of the Cobb Board of Health. In reviewing Title 31, Chapter 3 of the Georgia Code, I could not see any reason that this could not be done. However, I'm not an attorney. If your legal counsel finds a reason that this cannot be done, I do request that this be explained in writing to me. And I thank you very much for your time this evening and your service.
Kevin Cutler.
Hello, Chairwoman and the rest of the board. My name is Kevin, and I'm a Gen Z constituent from District 2. I wanted to address some of the concerns about the proposed transit projects that was discussed earlier in the work session. The majority of voters that support this project in all 5 districts are unable to show up and voice their support, in part due to the very lack of transit that we are trying to get in place now, so I speak for them. Cobb isn't a make or break scenario for this kind of stuff. We are falling behind the rest of the metro, and there's no more time to wait. This 30-year tax referendum would make our county a better place to live. Commissioner Burrell expressed shock how commuters come from Gwinnett to here with the current cost of gas. Getting better bus routes and BRT would alleviate that very cost for people who scrape by and are forced into car payments and gas due to no other good options. Commissioner Gambrill expressed worries about empty buses. These buses are probably empty due to the lack of routes and whopping hour wait times that allow for the people who need them to get to where they need to go. Opponents say we have traffic issues, that we need to focus on congested highways. What people miss is having less people in private vehicles and buses, and multimodal bike and walk lanes would do just that. Many opponents say that we should allow Uber and Lyft to be the standard instead of publicly funded transit. When you allow public enterprise this power, they will let it get to their heads. Today, if you were trying to get to work in Atlanta from Cobb County, it would cost you $60, $30 there and $30 back, so you're spending $60 a day on Uber. The things that we would like to see now is something every other modern community has already beaten us to. It's not even the best we can do. We could get light rail, we could get MARTA heavy rail in the county, Amtrak wants to get a station in Marietta. But for now, this referendum is the best we got to help those who need to get around Cobb further into the county. And we need to see a 5-0 support on this vote because this is all your constituents and not just the loud few who come here. Thank you.
The next speaker is John Adare.
Good evening. My name is John Adavari, and I am a 38-year resident and homeowner of Cobb County. I was raised to live within your means, and I would encourage the commission to consider that. I think the proposed 33% increase in sales tax from 6 to 8% and the 18% raise in the millage of our homes is outrageous, particularly in these times when people are having difficulty paying for groceries and their everyday expenses. When the Atlanta Braves Stadium was built, the county commission told the constituents and the people of Cobb County that bringing that stadium into this undeveloped land with the ensuing businesses and homes that were built would provide us much needed tax relief going forward. So now we have a stadium, we have the congestion, but the county has the benefit of the tax revenue, and we're being asked to pay more taxes. I think this is outrageous. I think that it's a time for conservation. I think that, the amounts of money, the $29 million for a contract that's proposed is just, it's mind-boggling, the amount of money that is just spent. And then when I was listening to that and the company that bid bought out the other company, if I was a commissioner, the first thing I would do is you're going to have to rebid that. I mean, what kind of nonsense is that? But it's really unbelievable. And it's just like I heard some people talking about the schools. You know, I hear college graduates complaining because they have debt. My daughter went through 2 Ivy League schools. She went through Cornell and Cornell Law School. She's a partner in one of the major firms in New York. She's not complaining about her student loans because when she was going to college, she knew that she had to get an occupation that would allow her to pay the loans back. I mean, how can people graduate from high school, go to college, borrow money, and then complain to the rest of the citizens that they can't pay their money back? When you buy a home or a car, are you going to turn around and say, but I can't pay that money back? I mean, it's absolutely outrageous what's happening. And as I don't know what jurisdiction you have over the Board of Education, but you should make sure that when somebody graduates from college or high school, they have a basic understanding of finance. When you borrow money, you have to pay it back. You can't turn around and say, I can't do it. I mean, I've bought 5 or 6 homes in my life. I have 9 cars right now. And you know what? Every one of them is paid for. I didn't need 9, but if I can afford it, but I'm not going to ask anybody else to afford it. And I think that this is what we have to consider. When I go to the grocery store and my wife tells me how much groceries are now, I feel bad because there are families. I mean, my children are grown, but there are people with families, 4 and 5 people. How are they affording the groceries? I mean, it's ridiculous. And to turn around and raise our taxes or consider raising them to 8, people are going to go elsewhere where the taxes are lower, like Cherokee, to make purchases, which means we're going to lose revenue. If I had to make a large purchase now, and I had the option of paying 8% or going to Cherokee and paying 7%, I would go to 7%. And you have to realize that anybody that spends money in Cobb County is not necessarily an expense to us. If people come here because our tax rate is low, we get the benefit of that tax, and we don't have to provide anything for those people. So I would ask the commissioners to take into consideration when you're spending the taxpayers' money. Live within your means. Do what you can to provide the best services for the most reasonable use of taxpayer money. And don't put a 33% tax, 33% increase. Who gets a 33% raise? I mean, and this 18%, the problem with the 18% millage, if you reassess the value of someone's home on top of that, it could be 20, 25%. How many homeowners can afford their taxes going up like that? When we have the Braves here and all of those related businesses that we're supposed to give the citizens.
Sir, I'm sorry, your 5 minutes is up.
Thank you very much.
Chairwoman, that's the last public speaker.
Thank you, Bill. We are now at our appointments tab, and we have 2 appointments. They are both announcements, and I have the first one, and that is to appoint Zachary Hyatt to the Neighborhood Safety Commission. And he will be replacing Juan Violantes, and we thank him for his service. The second appointment is from Commissioner Sheffield.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My announcement is to appoint Deidre R. Willis to the 1% Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax Citizen Oversight Committee, also known as SPLOST, and Ms. Willis will replace Tanya Robinson.
Thank you. All right, Commissioners, we are now at the Commissioner's Public Address, and we will begin with Commissioner Gambrill.
We will be continuing our conversations at our next meetup, which is tomorrow, to walk and talk. We're meeting at 9:30 in the morning at Kennesaw Mountain National Battlefield. This is along the Cheatham Road, Recreation Number 3 parking lot, and we look forward to seeing you there. It will be warm, so we will make sure we walk on the shaded part of the trail. Cobb 4-Hers at the North Georgia State Fair. You can enter the hay bale decorating contest at the North Georgia State Fair for K-12 youth in school clubs or organizations. There will be prizes. First place will offer $1,000, second place $500, and third place $250. You can also enter the cupcake decorating contest for the Cobb 2nd to 5th grade graders, and the winners there will receive admission and ride tickets to the fair. Actually, there was more to say. Both contest registrations are due on Tuesday, September 5th. You can click on the QR code to enter, or you can email Kathleen McElroy at kathleen.mcelroy@cobbcounty.org, or you can call 770-528-4070 for more information. Many thanks to the Georgia Grown for sponsoring this year's prizes. And lastly, just a few days left to be part of this year's Cobb, Douglas, and Paulding Georgia Master Naturalist Program through the UGA Extension Office and the UGA's Warnell School of Forestry and Natural Resources. This is a great extended educational opportunity to learn about Georgia's unique ecosystems and how we interact and impact nature. You can learn about a variety of subjects from professionals in the field and learn more about the environmental organizations around you. You can click on the QR code for more information to register, or you can call Danielle Price with UGA Cobb Extension at 770-528-4070. Thank you.
All right, from the office. So normally we do some type of proclamation around Women's Equality Day. So this is just acknowledging the day. But 103 years ago, on August 18th, 1920, the 19th Amendment was ratified, granting women the right to vote. And in 1973, the U.S. Congress designated August 26th as the Women's Equality Day. The date was selected to commemorate the 1920 certification of the 19th Amendment to the Constitution, granting women the right to vote. So going into some of our internals, we do have a capstone internship showcase. So as you know, our office runs an annual capstone internship program. So several projects that the students have been working on. You can see them listed here. So it's time for the summer capstone internship to come to a close. Our capstone interns have worked super hard this summer, and I'm excited to showcase their projects to the community. Our interns will have their showcase Friday, September 1st from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Sewell Mill Library and Cultural Center. If you would like to attend, just register and come hang out and definitely support our students. This is college and high school, so they've been working very hard. We're really proud of them. D2 internships, so the applications do close at the end of the month. We are still getting some in, and one that's not listed here is for that budget committee as well, for those that are interested in participating with me on looking at those opportunities within our budget. But the internships that we do have, a social media manager and the community cabinet lead, which this is a group of individuals who are volunteers from all around the district, who are passionate about making things happen, and they work closely with me to accelerate some of our initiatives and events. And then teacher supply drive. So this is going on for the month of August. Our office is partnering with Kids Care to host a teacher supply drive, so with that nonprofit. Locations for donation drop-off are Sewell Mill Library, Vinings Library, East Cobb Library. Donations will be collected from August 7th through 31st. And so far, we've got quite a few participants, so really excited about that. And some corporations have been excited to drop off some major donations to help our teachers out. So from the community, we've got Back to School Job and Resource Fair. The Smyrna Goodwill Career Center is excited to invite you to the Passport to Your Future Career Fair tomorrow, Wednesday, August 23rd, from 10 a.m. to noon. This event will host a special guest, Dominic Ross, Sr., a former player for the Dallas Cowboys. Although some restrictions apply, this event will offer free phones and tablets. You can meet with hiring managers, accepting applications, resumes, and even conducting interviews. Prior registration is not required, but you must register upon arrival. We look forward to seeing you there. There's also, next, the Cobb Energy Performing Arts Center celebrates its Sweet 16 in celebration of its 16th anniversary, and to thank the community for its continued support. Cobb Energy Performing Arts Center will host a Sweet 16 Community Day and Open House celebration on Sunday, August 27th from 12 to 5. This event will include appearances by Blooper, the Heavy Hitters, Harry the Hawk, anchor Lana Harris, and meteorologist Rodney Harris from Atlanta News First, and Star 94 DJ Sky Smith. There will be music, food trucks, children's activities, face painting, balloon artists, magicians, crafts, building tours, free classes, and much more. Sounds like a great time. So hopefully it's something it's a free event for those that pre-register. Can win some prizes. And then lastly, the High Beam Cookout. So please join our office in celebrating Blind Equality Achievement Month at a cookout hosted by the Cobb County Empowerment Chapter of the National Federation of the Blind, Georgia. This event will take place 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Tolson Park on September 2nd. And the cookout will also feature adaptive sports, accessible games, resources, and other people dealing with sight loss. This is also a free event and no registration is required. For more information, please contact Mr. George Vickers. That concludes my announcements.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Burrow.
Thank you. Well, we've had 3 more pet adoptions, bringing us to 243 adoptions since the inception of the Superior Pets for Patriotic Vets program. On the left is Daniel Nelson, who served 8 years with the U.S. Army, and he adopted an Australian Shepherd. On the right is Candace Bryant, who served 6 years in the U.S. Air Force, and she and her family adopted this beautiful black domestic cat. And Dale Hutchins at the bottom adopted a tricolor terrier. We appreciate all of them for their service and taking advantage of free pet adoptions for veterans. The Cobb Animal Shelter is also facing crowding crisis. And so if you've been thinking about getting a pet, now is the time. Through August, all pets with an eligible adoption date of July 31st and prior are free to adopt, and all others are discounted at $50. So call the Cobb County Animal Services located at 1060 Al Bishop Drive. You can go to cobbcounty.org/pets to see what pets are available for adoption. This Friday night at the Cowan Historic Mill in Ackworth, the Cobb Veterans Memorial Foundation is hosting a concert fundraiser. It's from 5 to 9, and the Cowan Historic Mill is located at 4271 Southside Drive in Ackworth. It is free for veterans and $10 for non-veterans. And Leslie Blasing is a country music, award-winning country music star from Texas that will be performing, and also the local Tunnel Rats. Our district attorney, Flynn Brody, will be hosting a town hall 6:30 to 8 on Tuesday, August 29th in District 3 at the Tim D. Lee Senior Center. You can get updates on the Cobb Family Advocacy Center, its purpose, and other community-based programs from the DA's office, and questions and answers. The meeting is open to all. You can call 770-528-3080 for more information, or email cobbdacommunications@cobbcounty.org. Then our water system is having their 14th annual Water Smart Calendar Contest. Middle school students enrolled in Cobb County and City of Marietta school districts are invited to participate in the 14th annual Water Smart Water Art Middle School Calendar Contest. Submit an original two-dimensional work of art in any medium depicting how water is important to me by Friday, October 13th. The submission must include a 50-word statement explaining how the artwork represents the theme. Select art will be posted online, and 12 winning entries will be included in the 2024 Water Smart Calendar to be distributed throughout the county. For complete rules and more information, you can email sarah.dunn@cobbcounty.org. And our Economic Development Office is offering a networking opportunity with Cobb County departments and other businesses at Coffee and Conversations with Cobb, 7:30 to 9 a.m. Wednesday, August 30th at Rio's Steakhouse and Bakery at 1275 Powers Ferry Road, Suite 230 in Marietta. The event, hosted by Cobb County Economic Development, provides an educational and networking opportunity for business owners, entrepreneurs, and startups to connect with county staff, meet neighboring businesses, and learn how Cobb County is available to support their growth. A panel of county representatives will share how their departments support economic and business development. It is free, but you do need to register or RSVP to Brittany Rasmussen at 770-528-1009 or brittany.rasmussen@cobbcounty.org. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Sheffield.
Thank you. Ready? Okay. My third annual Career Fair and Tenant Forum was this past Saturday and was well received by the community. Cobb Works was instrumental in assisting with updating resumes on their mobile bus and providing interviewing tips. A special thanks to our employer partners, Chief Magistrate Judge Brendan Murphy and his team, District Attorney Brody's office, Cobb Police, Cobb Human Resources, and the Tax Commissioner's office. I appreciate the continued support of our nonprofits and, of course, the attendees. I look forward to hearing your successful stories. See you next year. This past Sunday, I welcomed the newest Adopt-A-Mile group to District 4. I joined forces with the World Mission Society Church of God for their inaugural Adopt-A-Mile community cleanup. With the help of 38 volunteers, a total of 358 pounds of litter were collected. While Sunday, thank you, I think. While Sunday was the church's first cleanup on Powder Springs Road, it marks their 7,427th worldwide cleanup. Thank you for rolling up your sleeves to work together towards a cleaner community. And a special thanks to Dawn Smith with Keep Cobb Beautiful for her support of our new Adopt-A-Mile group and for her encouraging words at the inaugural event. Join me for District 4's monthly In the Zone community meeting on Wednesday, August 23rd at 7 p.m. Planning Commissioner Michael Hughes and I will discuss August and September zoning cases. We will be joined this month by the applicant for zoning case Z29, which is a proposed adult living community in Powder Springs. Our monthly In the Zone community meetings are a great way to learn firsthand about zoning applications and potential development in your community. Please email monique.sheffield@cobbcounty.org for the meeting link. Hope to see you there. District Attorney Flynn Brody invites you to join him and Rose to celebrate the second anniversary of Rose's Adoption Day celebration. The celebration will include the Cobb Animal Services adoption truck, bookmobile, cookies, ice cream, and more. Rose is instrumental in helping victims of all ages during their criminal justice journey. We hope that you can join her for this family-friendly celebration. The event is free and will take place on Saturday, September 9th from 3 to 6 p.m. at the Ron Anderson Recreation Center located at 3820 Macedonia Road in Powder Springs. For additional information, please call 770-528-3080. And thank you. That concludes my announcements.
Thank you, Commissioner. I have a dog of my own, but I've got to confess, Rose is a beautiful dog. That was a beautiful picture. Leading into my update, as was shared, there is a Goodwill Job and Resource Fair that will be tomorrow for those of you who can attend. It will be at 10 a.m. off of South Cobb Drive. The Urban League has a networking event tomorrow. They are a grant recipient of American Rescue Plan Act dollars, and they will be speaking about their initiative to support Cobb County businesses. And residents are also invited to this event. It is tomorrow, Wednesday, August 23rd, from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Riverside Epicenter. Recently, I had opportunity to join the Indian American Cultural Association, which is based right here in Cobb County, as they celebrated their 27th Festival of India event. And want to thank the chairman for this invitation and for providing opportunity for me to meet several businesses in the metro area as they showcased their culture through performances and also through food. And this event is held every year. I'm also pleased to have joined Commissioner Sheffield in supporting another partner with our American Rescue Plan Act dollars. The Georgia Micro Enterprise Network will be providing additional rental assistance to Cobb County residents, and they are located right here in Marietta Square, and they're proximate for those that do need assistance. And for more information, they can visit gmin.org/Cobb-County. Again, that's gmin.org/Cobb-County. We will have our third annual International Festival coming up this Saturday, August 26th at Jim Miller Park from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. We continue to have record numbers of people that attend this event. I think last year we had upwards of close to 5,000 people attend. The event is free and it showcases the many cultures that we have here in Cobb County. I believe about 15% of our residents are foreign-born, and you can come and observe performances and taste food from many different cultures, whether it's from Germany, Mexico, the Caribbean, and even right here in our own backyard. Yesterday, I kicked off a series of town hall meetings beginning in Powder Springs. We have others to follow. Our next one will be in Fuller's Park, and anyone is welcome to attend any of these events. And I see here that we've added a new one. Is this correct, Chris? Can I assert this one in Ackworth for September 14th, as that date has moved? We have had requests to add other locations, and we will see as time permits if we'll tack on any as we progress through this series. I do want to thank all of the staff that attended last night's town hall, as well as our residents, as I think we learned a lot about each other's interests and desire for Cobb to be the best it can be. With that, I do want to recognize that 30 years ago, in August of 1993, Cobb County passed a resolution deemed to be anti-LGBT at the time. It was one that endorsed what a traditional family should look like. The controversy around that resulted in national attention, inclusive of Cobb County losing our site as being an Olympic venue. I did not live here in '93. I moved here in 1995, and so I did not experience that, but I did experience a gentleman who visited my office a few weeks ago who felt as if he and other members of his community were unfairly targeted and subject to hate in this county, and they felt it was perpetuated by the leadership of this organization. As he expressed the overwhelming hurt he felt at this time, or at that time, he also expressed a high level of optimism about where he has seen Cobb County go. He doesn't live in Cobb County, he lives in Metro Atlanta, but I think he was enthusiastic when he visited my office to see some of our changes. But yet he felt compelled to ask me if Cobb County would issue an apology to him. And tonight I feel personally compelled to issue an apology that we would issue something to the level of a resolution to cause any community of our county to feel hated and to feel targeted and to not feel a part of the vibrancy and the energy and the community of Cobb County. As he spoke to me about what occurred 30 years ago, just a few days ago, as it was shared in public comment, I received an email from a resident that provided her community was the target of anti-Semitic flyers, and she asked what we could do. When we received correspondence regarding anti-Semitic flyers a few weeks ago, or weeks ago, I asked someone in our staff here, who's an active member of our synagogue, what should I do? What would be respectful? What would make you think that I was being responsive? And she said, I ask that you denounce this activity. And so I denounced it today, and our board did in passing a resolution. And I think it is important that as these events continue, that we acknowledge them. Because as I read an article from 1995 with respect to what our county passed in 1993, I think part of the pain was the lack of acknowledgement of people who were actually hurt by specific events that were occurring in our county. 30 years from then, I wonder how far removed we are. We acknowledge that there are differences in opinion in our county and different views, but I also feel as if there is still some latent energy that still enables communication that supports marginalization of people within our county. And there is active concern about the decision that was made by our local government body over education about the impact that it has in a community that felt targeted 30 years ago. I ask, what kind of Cobb County do we want to be 30 years from now? And do we see ourselves as being agents in what our county can be? I certainly believe that those of us on our board are, but I would profess everyone in our community is, and especially our leaders. And I consider those that come to public comment to be our leaders because not many people value the right to be able to come and express themselves. And we have opportunity to hear from everyone in our community, but let's think about what type of identity we perpetuate about this county and what it may do in enabling people to perceive us as being beyond the events that occurred 30 years ago. I personally would like to think that we can create and support and protect a county that is intentional about being inclusive and intentional about being a place where all can live here, where all can belong here, and really ideally where everyone can thrive here. Thank you so much for being here tonight, being a part of this meeting and observing it remotely. And I ask you to join me. And one way I'm going to ask you to join me, and I'm going to do something different because I feel compelled to do it tonight. I think one of the speakers tonight said, we appreciated your response to some of our remarks, and I purposefully didn't respond to any remarks. And sometimes in the past, I felt compelled to address what I perceive and know is inaccurate assertion. And just because it's asserted from a microphone and with passion doesn't make it the truth. But it's not me. I do not want to put anyone down, and I don't want to correct anyone when they come and express themselves, because as a resident, before becoming an elected official, I knew it took a lot of courage for me to come on that mic and talk to my elected leaders. And I don't want anybody to feel intimidated through that experience. But what I want to do is give us opportunity to start engaging in conversation. I think we're doing a lot of talking at each other, and I think there's opportunity for us to progress to that. So what I'm going to do tonight, and I apologize for those who are here and facilitating the safety and the coordination of tonight's meeting, but I will be available at least for the next 15 minutes for anyone that truly wants to have a conversation about what you may have discussed in public comment. And what I would like to do in the future is if you have a concern, I will make myself available before the meeting at 6 p.m. I will be here to discuss your issues with you if you are available. If we are truly about having constructive movement to move our county forward, I invite you to be a part of that. So we can get past this, just what I believe is a little bit of an antagonistic way of how we are communicating. I think it would help to facilitate us being a more inclusive county. So again, with that, everyone, thank you for being a part of tonight's meeting and hope you have a good evening.